All right, the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial is on break after a tense week in the courtroom. A law enforcement official testifying, one of the defendants said in an interview that instinct told him Arbery did something wrong. And the homeowner for the property at the center of the case saying he never asked the defendants to secure the home. I want to bring in now Page Pate. He's a criminal defense attorney. Page, so good to see you. Wow, I mean, this was already an incredibly, emotional, impassioned trial from the very start, but then this week took some strange turns. So where do you see it going in terms of, victories for either side?
Well, Frederica, I think it's a little early to declare one side a winner or a loser. I think the prosecution has done a pretty good job of laying out all of the evidence. I mean, we've seen a lot of videos, not just the video that all of us have seen about what happened to Mr. Arbery, but also body cam footage of the officers responding. We've seen surveillance camera footage. We've heard a lot of 911 calls. The prosecution is putting it all out there. Of course, their position is Ahmaud Arbery was doing nothing wrong. Now, it may be true that people in the neighborhood were all up in arms because there was a young black man in the neighborhood, but he hadn't committed any crime. And so the defense has been trying to chip away at that, suggesting that maybe he had committed a crime, but I just don't think the evidence so far is supporting that whatsoever.
And we also heard that there were others who had looked at the property as well, but they weren't treated as suspects from these defendants who took it upon themselves to try to protect property. And it's remarkable, too, that the defense attorneys were also trying to allege it was self-defense in the end. As they hunted down Ahmaud Arbery, it was self-defense that precipitated the pulling of a trigger.
Right. I mean, you can't argue self-defense if you're in a place that you shouldn't be to begin with. So if you're chasing a man through a neighborhood, you're trying to corner him, and that is the evidence, that they were trying to corner him with pickup trucks with firearms in order to stop him under a citizen's arrest. Well, he hadn't done anything wrong. He had not committed a crime. Even the person who saw him at the house before this chase began said he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. So if you can't support citizen's arrest, then you have no legal right to take a shotgun, get out of the truck, and then start a struggle with him and then shoot him. So it's an uphill battle for the defense. Obviously, they're going to have their turn to call their witnesses, but the evidence is not much in dispute. It's how you look at this evidence, and that's why the jury is so incredibly critical in this case.
The eyewitness accounts, evidence, those aren't the only things that really caught the attention of everyone this week. We've got to talk about the defense attorney's comments Thursday when he objected to nationally recognized civil rights leaders and he pointed out black pastors attending the trial in support of Ahmaud Arbery's family. We would ultimately hear that defense attorney apologize, sort of, the next day for his remarks. But now several civil rights leaders push back, calling on faith leaders to stand alongside Arbery's parents, unlike before. What sort of impact do you believe ultimately that will have on the jury? I mean, jurors watch and notice everything, whether they hear it directly, but they're certainly watching the behaviors of people. So how might what has transpired impact their point of view on things?
Well, I think it can have a considerable impact and not one that's favorable for the defense. I mean, it was a ridiculous thing to say, and it was gratuitous. I mean, I don't think the lawyer really expected the judge to say, I'm going to bar all black pastors from the courtroom. I mean, that's a ridiculous thing to even suggest. And of course, it's probably going to have the reverse result, right? I mean, you tell a black pastor you can't come to the courtroom, where there are going to be 100+ black pastors at this trial as the case continues on. And what's strange to me, Frederica, is the defense keeps arguing that this is not about race. We were concerned about crime. But yet you have a defense lawyer who continues to make it about race. I mean, even during jury selection,
I was just going to say it starts with the jury selection process as well.
Right. He said, look, there are not enough Bubbas here to pick from, which, again, made no sense given the demographics of this county and the fact they ended up with 11 white people and only one black man on this jury.
It all continues to be so unsettling on so many levels. Page Pate, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And then today in the 2 o'clock.